This is Melina Lee Williams-Haas. I deeply appreciate you listening and taking the time to hang out with me. I will be addressing issues of life, the universe, and everything that are often bogged down and mired in shame and grief, and talk about how they can be repackaged to be useful and gorgeous and fucking awesome for you. So, sit back and relax, or, you know what? Sit up and freak out. However you prefer to listen. Let's go.
Hello, listeners of All That and Mo. Thanks so much for listening. Unfortunately, Melina could not be with us this week. She's actually traveling across the world. Maybe she'll talk about that as she comes back. But unfortunately, this week, we don't have a live episode from Melina. What we do have is a cool throwback episode. Now, this is actually kind of a sneak peek of the kind of stuff you can get if you support her on Patreon. So in the description of this podcast, in the show notes, you'll see a link there. You can support her if you like this and you want more like it. In the meantime, enjoy this episode.
Hi, this is Melina Williams from Molina.com, The Perverted Negress, www.mollena.com. And I'm responding to a FormSpring question, and normally I would sit and type out a response, but this struck a chord with me, so I wanted to actually sit down for a minute and talk about it. The question that was posted was, quote, admitting my submissive side is one of the hardest things that's happened to me. I don't know what to think or do with myself anymore. I wonder if, a result of past sexual abuse, I thought I had sorted out. Think I'm depressed. Do you have any advice? I want to say first and foremost, for those who might be listening to this who don't know me, I'm not a therapist. I'm not suggesting that I have all the answers by any stretch of the imagination. And if you are depressed and if you are experiencing symptoms of depression, please do go talk to a therapist. I think that they can be very helpful and very supportive in that way. I can address the difficulties in accepting being submissive based on my own experience and the experiences of other people that I have spoken with over the years that I've been involved in BDSM, leather, and kink lifestyle. First of all, I'll say that accepting that you are submissive or that you have a choice, a lifestyle choice, or a predisposition that's outside of the mainstream is often hard. And if you are someone who is trying to accept about yourself that you want is to be submissive to or obedient to someone else, is really tough. So don't imagine that this is something that everyone just wakes up one morning, decides is awesome and great, and fucking tiny bluebirds come and light on your goddamn shoulders, because that's really not generally what happens. As far as your question about what to think and do with yourself anymore, you're still you. Covered something that maybe has been there for your whole life and you just didn't realize, or this is something that's developed over the course of your life. But the first thing to do with yourself is to detach yourself from the idea that there's any sort of judgment around this. Forgive yourself for being human. Forgive yourself for having tendencies and desires that maybe you were not raised to think are all right. I'm telling you they are. And other people are here, hundreds of thousands of us, to say you're okay. Even if you want to believe that submission and dominance and BDSM and leather and all that stuff is really fucked up, you can even accept this if you come to peace with you that there's nothing wrong with being different or having desires that are outside of the norm. That's the first thing you need to do with yourself. The second thing I would suggest doing with yourself is trying to connect with other like-minded people. So much of what feels very stressful and terrifying is the sensation that you're alone, that you're the only person who's ever had these feelings. I can guarantee you're not. I'm one. I personally meet pretty much, every weekend a month, hundreds of other people who are walking the same path that you are considering walking, that you've discovered about yourself. There's a lot you can say about us, but we're all human and we're all here. And accepting and forgiving yourself for being human and for being different is the first step. In terms of being a survivor of past sexual abuse, this is a very touchy subject. There are so many people who are survivors of abuse who do not lead kinky lifestyle. There are people who are survivors of abuse who do. There are no statistics on this, but I'll tell you that our communities here, the leather, BDSM, kink, are a microcosm. They're not a utopia. We don't skim the surface of the best and the brightest, and we don't drag the bottom for the worst and the most terrifying. We're a complete melon of everything. And so the idea that maybe sick, broken, fucked up, twisted people who need to be committed to institutions are the ones who make up and are drawn to this society, this subculture that we build, is just not true. It's everyone. It's everyone healthy, and it's everyone who struggles. It's all of us together in this, so you should know that. And let us say that choosing this lifestyle is a result of past abuse, and this is a safe way for you to explore that or you to channel that energy, and you find a therapist. I recommend a kink-friendly therapist, someone who is not going to pathologize your desire for this lifestyle. Talk to someone like that about whether or not there are additional issues that you need to uncover is a healthy and wonderful choice. But to automatically, reflexively, make it something that's sick, avoid that. Try to avoid it. It doesn't help for you to add to your struggle a layer of pathology. Again, I'll reiterate the part where you ask if you think you're depressed. If you are depressed, get help. If medication for depression is something in which you believe, use that. If it's not, try talk therapy. But know that there are folks out here who are living fulfilled and happy lives, being submissive. It's okay. My advice is to find other submissive people to talk to, people who are living this, people who are okay with what we do, and people who can say, I'm here, I can share with you my journey. I'll tell you my journey as a feminist, thinking, how could I possibly be feminist and be submissive? The point in the center of feminism is that women are permitted to, required to make choices and take responsibility for those choices. If my choice is to adopt a lifestyle that looks like some that are traditionally oppressive, fucking A. It's my choice, and I make it with a clear mind and a clear heart. Another thing I would certainly do is try to read other people's accounts of their processes around discovering their submission. There are so many blogs out there. There are so many people sharing so much on FetLife and on bondage.com and on alt.com and all over the internet. Do what you need to do to find a way to make it okay. If other people telling you okay helps, fine. If you waking up every morning and reminding yourself that no matter how you got here, the fact that you are here means that you are strong and that you have power. And the third thing I remind you of is being submissive does not mean that you are some weak ass piece of shit with no power. You have more power than you know. In order to give power to someone else, you have to be pretty fucking powerful. You got to have an excess of that shit in order to give it away to someone else. So don't forget that. This is something I strive to remind all submissive human beings. What you're coming from is a place of saying, I am so strong that I am willing to bend that will and feed that strength to someone else because it fulfills me, because it makes me happy. That's not something to be ashamed or depressed about. It's something to be proud of. Accepting who you are is something that so many people never, ever do. It might be a little bit tougher, but you can do it. You can do it. And I have faith in you. And I'll say a prayer for you, whoever you are tonight, that you find peace. It took me a while, but I found it, and I'm proud. I'm so happy to be who I am today. And I really hope that you and anyone else out there listening to this can find that peace, because it's amazing. I'm a submissive woman, and I'm pretty fucking proud of that. And it brings me joy. So thank you for your question. I hope it helps. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to reflect on who I am. I'm very grateful for that. Good night.
You've been listening to All That and Mo. Thanks so much for spending your precious, precious time with me today. My podcast is produced by Cody Crabb. Theme music by Georg Friedrich Haas, as performed by Marcus Weiss. And I look forward to spending time with you again really soon.